the time, training, or the inclination for strategic thought.
Let's play replays anyway.
Knowledge. Yo,
Yo, there he is.
what's up, buddy?
Beautiful mustachio.
How you doing, you beautiful, beautiful man?
I'm good. I've been a little busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple of freelance script coverage jobs have been fun.
What's script coverage?
So coverage of a script is literally just you read the script and you do a full assessment and breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just basically write. It's basically like doing a book report.
Okay.
But it's much quicker and it's much more. I guess not quicker, but it's much shorter. It's complicated.
That makes sense.
It's been fun. Other than that, I've also gotten 57 pages done in my own screenplay this last week. I'm pretty proud about.
Hell yeah! Congrats on that.
Yeah. Other than that, I have a little diarrhea, but other than that, I'm great. Just a little bit, it's like the good amount, where it's like
smidge.
Yeah, where you can feel yourself getting lighter, but it doesn't hurt. Like one of those diarrheas. That's the type you want.
Beautiful. Well, Danny's in here. I don't know. His username says Chris. I'm pretty sure his name is Danny _Dabito. At least that's what it is on Instagram. He does like really interesting 3D design work for major companies, and we've been following each other for a while. He came out to a show I produced a while back. So he seems like an interesting guy. Spent a lot of time living abroad, working abroad. So we can ask him about that, but I might as well just let him in, right?
Yeah, just get right to it. No Oscar this week, everybody. But
yeah, I saw him today. We were at dinner.
Oh, that's nice. I saw it. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Hello. Whoa, that background is trippy.
Oh, I like that background.
I don't know what I'm seeing.
Samurai? Is that what that is?
I can't tell.
There are some women in boudoir outfits.
Oh yeah, I see some lingerie. I see some queso.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, Danny? How you doing?
Sorry, let me fix my audio. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
I love your background.
Oh, it's a bunch of girls slowly spinning.
As women are wont to do.
Yeah, no, it was from I used to work on a rig with 100 cameras.
What?
Shooting in a circle. And if you slow down the shutter speed, when you make trails in a photo?
Yeah.
But if you have that same speed consistently going around the circle, you get these trails that are volumetrically correct. Hi, buddy. How are you? Hi, Sean.
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
Call me Danny. I don't exist.
Danny? Okay.
I don't exist anywhere in any capacity, and I don't take credit for anything I do. It's the most expensive thing I own.
Wait, what is?
Anonymity. I don't.
Oh.
Me and my name together, we don't exist.
But you have like a brand though. You have like a style. You have queso. You have merch.
It's an ironic brand that's never meant to be sold. I only give it to people I like, and it makes people want it more.
Yeah,
you can't buy it.
Do you think if enough people want it, would you ever go public with it?
It'd be funnier if I didn't.
Yeah, that's true. I respect that.
I'm a comedy first, dude. So
yeah,
you know how it is.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
looking to do.
I want to talk to you about everything. I mean, you're an interesting cat. I mean, we've met once, but like, I just want to know more about you because we've been following each other on Instagram for years, right?
Yeah, no, and I've seen you at Skankfest a bunch and stuff like that. It's before the shit. We were technically a small community, between fans and comedians.
True.
And it's the one thing that I always tell people that like you can be a fan of a lot of stuff, but the kind of one-on-one interaction you can get with your favorite comedian, if you're a fan of comedy in New York City, you could end up just hanging out and drinking with the dude and talking for hours, just like a thing, just because you showed up to the place early and they're not up for a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But to call yourself a fan, I mean, yeah, you're a fan of comedy, but you're also a creative person, and like I'm as much curious about you, I'm sure, if not more, than you are of me.
Well,
Yeah,
ask away,
that's why we're having you on the podcast to know about you.
buddy. No, yeah, ask away. What do you want to know? Talk to me.
Okay. Well, first of all, how'd you get into like being a comedy fan? I wanted to know that. Like,
You know what? It was around 1992.
mhm.
I got to this country in 1990
From where?
from Venezuela.
Okay.
We got here before when the getting was good.
Yeah.
How old are you when you came over?
What?
How
I
old
was
were you?
10, so 1990. And we got cable in 92. And with that came Comedy Central and HBO. And I started watching what was comedy back then, you know?
Mhm.
And like the first comic whose name I remembered on purpose because I wanted to watch his shit more and more was Richard Jenny.
Okay.
He blew my mind. And I was a 12-year-old kid because his comedy was somewhat clean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but also very, very good. And like I remember genuinely liking Straight Ellen.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched that.
like Straight Ellen was the master at doing this thing. It was just like, so yeah, but no. But yeah, but no. And like dragging it on. And she was amazing. She was wearing like the fucking suits she would wear a suit like a dude
Yeah.
with like massive shoulder pads.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you knew about gay culture, you could have guessed easily back then, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think there ever was a straight Ellen. I think there was
but she was. I said this earlier in jest, and now I'm saying it for real. But she was presenting straight.
Mm.
Before I came on to do this, I asked my little brother if I was presenting straight. I wanted to be sure.
Are you straight? Not that it matters.
I am, but I wanted to make sure I was also presenting straight.
Why? Why do you care?
I was like, dude, if anybody in this pod calls me ma'am, or asks me if I'm a woman, we're gonna have problems.
Has that happened before?
No, only with email. But
Okay.
spelling of my name. I've corresponded with people in email, and then when I meet them, they're like, "You're not a girl," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Maybe it's just the
Sorry.
Venezuelan manners.
It's my real name spells unisex. So without seeing anything, and the fact that you can't Google me, it's.
Oh, I got you. We'll keep it as Danny. We'll keep it as Danny from here.
Yeah, just Danny from here on out.
But anyway, man. So you became a comedy fan, watching Richard Jenny. You ever hear Rogan talk about Jenny? He talks about him sometimes.
Yeah, I have, because to the old school comics, Jenny is kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I have heard it in that context. But what I didn't know about, again, because I was a child, it was the whole thing with the suicide and the heroin and the drugs and the depression and stuff. Because to me, he was just a platypus man.
A platypus man?
That was the name of his special.
Okay. I watched like one of his specials. I haven't watched all his stuff. Platypus.
I only know that he killed himself. That's the only thing I know about it.
And he wished he was Seinfeld, right? He wished he had that sitcom success.
That I don't know about so much from the stuff that I've heard, but I mean, I don't know. I think he was, and I watched a lot of comedy because Comedy Central back then actually showed comedy. Comedy Central back then was just 30-minute comedy specials, one after the other.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing Dave Attell wearing a dress jacket.
Yeah.
You know, like just completely looking like this is not how I normally dress, and him doing like, and then it's stuff that you then, if you watch his 30-minute stuff, even his HBO stuff, you hear some of that stuff in Skanks for the Memories.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a classic.
Yeah. One of my favorite specials of all time is the extended cut of Mitch Hedberg's Comedy Central special.
Okay. Yeah, like the uncensored kind of version of it. Like
when he starts doing old material at the end after bombing for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, he lost them and won them back. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's amazing. But anyway, I want to talk more also about your creative. Okay, first of all, you do 3D design, right?
You know, technically, I'm an animator.
Animator. Okay.
I'm an animator, and I happen to animate in 3D. but I
So-
started as a graphic designer.
How did that start? Like when did you start in graphic design? What were you doing specifically?
I started graphic design when I was 16,
Mm.
because when I was around 14, because I'm a huge fucking nerd. I mean, but it's fine. Nobody ever bullied me.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a moment, like I remember in like I don't know, it was like 2008, 2009. They
Mhm.
started this whole the cyber bullying, the anti-bullying campaign started,
Mhm.
and I was up real late doing dangerous drugs with friends, and the conversation came up, and then I was, like, why is this so prevalent? Why is this a thing? Why is this coming up? And then I was starting to think, hey, you know what? I was a nerd, and nobody ever really bullied me. And then I
Yeah.
started to really look inside and think about it. And I think the reason nobody bullied me was because I was doing the bullying. So
Wait, you were bullying?
That's
I-
usually how it works. Is that you're
Think about it,
bullying,
I'm like-
bullying.
yeah, so nobody bullied me because I was bullying people, but
Who
not
were
so
you-
much in a physical way, but more in the like psychological sort of way.
That's the worst way.
Who were you bullying? Why were you bullying?
I was just being abusive because like, I don't, did you guys go to high school in New York?
Yeah, upstate, not in the city.
But okay, and you, Sean?
Same thing. I was in upstate New York.
Yeah. So, but did the crowd, like, were the hallways so crowded that it was like sardine level train packed in between periods?
They were. I wouldn't say sardine, but I mean they were crowded.
Well, I mean, I went to school in New York City, so they were overcrowded.
Yeah.
And I remember doing stuff like when the classes would change, I would hang out in front of this office where my computer was and literally dance and take up the space of 3 people, and everybody just had to walk around me.
Oh, that's not that bad.
But then it
Was
became
your-
a
was-
thing where people would say something about it, and I'm like, you're welcome to do something about it. And I think my little dude confidence just was bigger than me. And they were like, fuck, he might do something about it. And that was enough.
Yeah, I was kind of a bully too when I was much younger, when I was like 11, 12, 13. Like I remember in summer camp, I would like bully certain people. But I was also a nerd who never got bullied. I don't know if it was because I was in special ed and people were just like, this kid's gonna blow up the school if we bully him, or I don't know. what it was.
The special ed kids are explosive. You know what I mean? You got to respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, it's pretty fucked up to pick on the special ed kid. Like most bullies usually had a code of conduct. They went with the kid that they just didn't like. They never go after the special. That's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
So the special ed kids in the junior high school I went to, I think were put there because they were so violent.
Mm.
Because I saw one of them get picked on in lunch once, and it didn't pan out well for the other kid at all.
Oh my God.
Like, because this kid just went off of like, and I think that this kid, again, he didn't have any like mental disabilities. I think he was just very unruly,
Mhm.
very hard to discipline, and it was really ugly. It wasn't cool. Like, I didn't want to see that at 14. You
What'd
know
he
what I mean? I don't like, the cafeteria is a place I don't want to think about blood. You know what I mean? And there are parts of the face that bleed profusely.
Mhm.
You know, anything with the nose and mouth.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like we can't eat around that table anymore now.
Ugh,
You
that's
know,
nasty.
so, but again, this kid wasn't bothering anyone. This dude mouthed off, and nobody said or did anything to stop it because everybody realized that it's just like, you could have not done that.
Yeah.
That was an option too. So
So wait, to go back to graphic design, you were
Yeah.
16.
oh,
How do you start graphic design? That seems like a weird thing to start.
Yeah,
at that
I
age.
was doing so I was really involved with school stuff. So I ended up getting a computer and a desk in the coordinator of student affairs office. Eventually had my own phone line and mailbox in high school. And so where I was doing all like the calendars and banners and things for school in New York City, I'm sure you guys know you need 40 credits to graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
By my junior year, I had 44. So I didn't have to go to school the last year, but my parents wanted me to have the graduation thing. I didn't think it was smart for me to go to college at 16.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't like a prodigy genius. I just gamed the Board of Education in New York City. It's set up for segregation so easily. Like as somebody that grew up in South America, going to private school, where not only did you really have to work for it, but your parents were paying for it. So,
Mhm.
like there was like a loss going all around. When I got to this country, like the level of schooling, like what kids at sixth grade knew versus what I knew at sixth grade didn't even compare. And then as soon as I got into high school, I realized that, so if you're just a warm body, you'll pass.
Right.
If you're a warm body that kind of cares, they'll look at you. If you try and participate, all of a sudden you're not in the room with 41 kids anymore. You're in the room with 32 kids. If you sort of really do care, make an effort and push forward and act like you want it, all of a sudden you're sitting in a room that holds 40 kids with 11 other kids sitting in a circle with a teacher. They just separate you. Like if you really want it, they keep separating you and separating you.
Do you mean like in like advanced placement, or do you just mean?
Yeah. They just keep separating you because they don't want you around the other kids, so they're just there to distract everyone else.
Mhm.
At least that was my high school experience as a foreigner that came to
Yeah.
this country at 10 years old.
That's
So then
interesting.
I had so many credits that I needed to do something, and an intern, it was a program in New York City called City Ass School. It's a horrible name because it's City Ass School, and I'm like, yeah, well, it is a city ass school. No, so it's called City Ass School, and you can get an internship in a real world at 16 or 17, whatever age. And because I had a portfolio of everything I had done at school, I applied to all the graphic design oriented ones. And one of them was in the Empire State Building, which is a company called Garan. Then they make children's clothes called Garanimals.
Oh, I've heard of
And
that.
so at 16, I got my internship, and that was using Photoshop 3.5. It's up to version 20. I grew up with Photoshop, so that's a thing that I remember really well.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it just kept going.
I remember learning Photoshop senior year of high school, and like I was just like, oh, this is fun to like fuck around with photographs, and then I just like didn't really apply myself to it, and now I'm just kicking myself. Like I could have been so good at it.
Can I tell you a weird thing?
Sure.
Because I know Photoshop so well, I've never augmented a photo of myself to look better.
Wow, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like only women do that.
It's
No.
I feel
now with the apps, it's super easy for anybody to modify themselves.
Yeah,
I've never done it either.
I've never done anything like that.
But the thing is this though, I've had the power to do it for quite some time, and
Yeah.
I never once abused it. I abused everything else. I have the word decadence tattooed on me in German. I'm okay with stuff, you know what I mean?
I take it back about you being straight presenting.
Yeah. But no, I've never abused making myself look better because I know I can, and that would fuck with me somehow.
Yeah, no,
But,
it's a weird thing to do. I mean, I feel like it's weird for women to do that. I feel it's weird for anyone to like try to make themselves look different, unless you're like in VR. Have you ever read that book Ready Player One?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I
The
fucking
movie
love
was
it.
nice too. Just I'm a VFX guy. It was a good study.
I didn't see the movie yet, but I'm in the middle of I'm in the ending of the book right now, and it's so cool just to like imagine that, because it feels like it might actually happen, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that's right around the corner in terms of like our, the way technology keeps progressing, the way people are living more and more of their lives online. I mean, yeah, of course people are going to keep creating digital avatars. Like, do you guys know what VTubers are?
Well, what?
What a VTuber is?
No.
What's a VTuber?
So you guys know like Twitch stream, right?
Uh-huh.
It's basically just that, but people keep making animated or like animated or digital
like anime girls that don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen clips of that. I
yeah,
don't know how it works.
I don't know how it works either. I just know that's what a lot of like there's people who do that too. Like they just go up there and they present their avatar and they talk through the avatar the entire time instead of their face.
Well, it's coming. Comedy shows are coming to virtual reality. Everything's gonna come to virtual reality.
So my thing with that is that okay, so let's say what I've wanted to do most of my life was play in the NBA,
Mhm.
right? Realistically speaking, that's not happening. It's not happening now. It's not happening when I was younger. It wasn't in my future, right? But if I put enough money together, me and a bunch of friends can probably rent a professional basketball court and play against each other.
Mhm.
Now, will I have the crowd? Will I have the thing? Obviously not. But will I get somewhat of the experience, at least a taste? Yes, I will get a taste of it. But when you want to jerk off to hentai and furry stuff and anthropomorphic stuff, it's like you're never gonna get the thing that you want. Isn't that frustrating? Like if I
Yeah.
really wanted to fuck a super hot model looking chick, that's whatever. Money will arrange that for me. She's not
Right.
gonna love me. We're not gonna cuddle, but I'll be like, for a few minutes, I'll be like, I'm getting it,
Yeah.
and I can go back to that. I can jerk off to that in the future. But if I want to fuck something that's half horse, half wolf, kind of cartoonish,
Yeah.
like I'm never gonna get that.
But in VR, you can also
Yeah.
play in the NBA in VR.
Yeah, it's also
No,
like
I'm
isn't there something to be said for having a fantasy? It's sometimes just fun to fantasize.
I fantasize about all kinds of crazy shit. Right? As far as I'm concerned, this entire planet is a video game, and everybody in it is an NPC to make it interesting for my path. Okay, I fantasize about all kinds of cool stuff, but I only want to fuck humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess
Yeah. That's fair. I'll fuck an alien if they're real. But
aliens are different though. If they manifest, of course, the story. Come on, think about it. All the stories.
hell yeah. Well, okay, so I want to know more still. I want to know more about how you wound up going to Europe and doing all 3D animation and all this shit.
That's really weird. The reason I ended up going to Europe was because of this thing behind me. I got involved into this multi-camera array project. It was a series of systems. One had 100 cameras. One had 36 cameras for smaller product things. One had 13 cameras, which was just a photo booth kind of thing that you took to events. Somehow, some way, through the guy that owned it, being in the Hamptons, he met a lawyer who happened to be the lawyer for a company that's based out of Italy that makes large format printers, meaning 1.5 meters, 3 meters, Europe, like 5 feet and change, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened is they wanted to get involved with this artist who's a photographer, but photographers suck. I know this. I know a lot of photographers. I hate them. I design and make camera array systems for photographers. I don't like them with detail.
Why do they suck?
Because they're photographers, dude. I mean, come on. If you spend enough time in it, it's like, yeah. And the thing is this, my personal first reason why I don't like photographers is because as a photographer versus an animator, so you give me a fast computer and a big monitor, I'm done. I got it all. Then maybe give me $20,000 worth of software. But you can take a DSLR. I was charging cameras today for a thing. You could take this camera, which costs, let's say, a newer version of it. Let's say it costs $1,000.
Mhm.
You can attach so many things to this camera. It'll be worth $100,000 by the time you're done.
Mhm.
And as a computer user, I hate that I can't attach that much shit to my machine. That was my first reason. Afterwards is their attitude, the way they conduct themselves, how important they feel they are. Don't get me going, but it's the thing. And they're all special and that's fine, but I worked a lot with photographers.
Yeah.
But so anyways, this photographer dude, he wanted to put art first. You're talking about a company from Northern Italy that is so far up north, they speak German. And they're machine first. Now, the idea is that we were going to take art and science and put it together for this perfect combination, and it didn't happen because the artists wanted things faster. So, for example, in product design, let's say you came up to me right now and you're like, I have a new product. My first prototype went well. And I say to you, when do you expect to launch? And you tell me 2.5, 3 years. I'll go, wow, that fast? You have a new product and you can go to market that fast? I don't believe that. A product cycle can be anything from 3 to 5 years. Microsoft lost like $1 billion in change over 10 years on the Xbox. And now they can't count the money fast enough.
Right.
There are people that buy multiple Xboxes and they already own one. It's amazing, so he was used to things happening overnight because me and my friends didn't sleep and made this thing visually happen. To make something visually happen, it's not the same as making a new machine, getting electric engineers, testing stuff, making sure things work, working out timings. The last machine that we ended up building, I could guarantee to you that these shutters will open and close within plus or minus 2 milliseconds from one another. The human eye doesn't recognize anything until around 80. Your brain doesn't recognize anything until around 150. Your airbags go off before you know you're in a car accident. And I was able to deliver plus or minus 2 milliseconds from camera to camera when you put them in a sequence. So he didn't understand that took a while. So that first division became an emotional mess with yelling and feelings and things and cursing. So then this Italian company was contractually obligated to deliver this machine. So then they created a division from that. So from that division, that was just developers. I didn't have to be there, but the guy that was running it said, I want you to stay. So I stayed on and I oversaw everything that was happening with the building of these 120 camera system. It's 18 feet from edge to edge. It's about 16 feet tall. It has 120 Sony cameras in it. It's awesome. I love it. It's great.
So wait. I want to visualize this in more detail. So it's like a staging area in the middle, right? Are these cameras rotating or are they stationary?
So the cameras are stationary, but they shoot in sequence as fast or as slow as we needed them to, because we were also able to use them as a high-speed camera. So if I was to shoot one camera every frame, which is at 24 frames a second, a 24th of a second, and you have 120 cameras, you get about 5 seconds of footage. But if we shot every camera with a delay of, let's say, 15 or 20 milliseconds, we can take those 5 seconds and turn them into 2 seconds of high-speed footage. So we had that kind of level of control, and I got to work with some really cool fucking nerds and some really great I got to work with German engineers to make my boards and stuff like that, and it was great, and I loved it, and it was amazing.
What was that process like, working with engineers as a designer and animator?
So I had to learn how to communicate with them. I had to learn their language and how to speak to them, because I was coming from animators, working in studios in New York City, hanging out with gay producers and going to parties, and you get a cool new lunch menu every day. And then I had to go talk to German people that made machines. And first of all, the humor does not hold up from one side to the other. And their humor actually is better because it's darker. Yeah. But you got to understand it first. So I had to understand that you have to talk to them kind of without feelings, and it gets you the best results, because they don't care about your feelings either. So if you don't care about their feelings, they respect that, because you're like, oh, you're just telling me the numbers I need. Okay, cool. Here you go. So I went from designing posters and banners for my high school to making machines that were then made. And then so when that division was coming to an end, I thought my job was coming to an end as well. And about 2 weeks before the company was completely dissolved, the CEO of the Italian company came to the States, and my boss, who's now his strategic assistant, and he said, hey, Chris, let's go have a drink. And it was around noon. So we went around the block. The studio was in 27th and Broadway. We went around the block, and then we sat down and we had what I thought was a really nice conversation that I didn't realize was my job interview. I just agreed to a lot of stuff, and because they would go, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And I kept saying yes. To me, would you be interested? It's not a contract. That's not a job offer, and it's not an official interview, right? So they asked me a bunch of stuff that I said yes to. And then when the office was about to close down, I go to my boss and I'm like, dude, listen, thank you so much for everything you taught me. I learned a lot about higher level corporate industry stuff from them, because that's what they know. And I told him, thank you for everything that you taught me. And I'm pretty sure you're going to say yes, but I would really appreciate a nice letter for me moving forward, right? Because I was also wanting to leave the post-production TV market to go into something more structured, just because I'm getting older. You know, don't get me wrong, I love animating stuff and doing shit like that all day, but I defended Office 2 weeks ago. It was crazy. I was like 27-year-old me would have kicked my ass for defending Office. And I'm like, well, how else do you manage this many projects? You know,
Wait, you defended what?
Microsoft Office.
Oh, I see.
I used to fear that. I used to fear using Office because
Mhm.
that meant things were over and you weren't having fun anymore because you were using Office. So I thought that was gonna come to an end. And then I asked my boss and I'm like, hey dude, so I really appreciate this letter. And he's like, for what? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna need a job. And he's like, what about the job you agreed to 2 weeks ago? Do you not want to do that anymore? And I'm like, what do you guys mean? And they're like, yeah, you just keep working for us now. And that was it. And now I've gotten to work on a bunch of stuff. Now I work on everything. So we have this small subdivision that does a lot of computer vision research, a lot of AI-based stuff. So I'm doing a lot of things with photogrammetry, which is when you create a 3D model from photos only.
But where is all this stuff going? Is this to make products? Is this to make art? Like, okay, products.
Money. So I work on a lot of stuff. So because we're very, all our initial contacts are European based. I'm working on 2 different companies that make hiking and sporting kind of, shoes and stuff like that because it's very big out there. Those people love their fucking mountains. And by the way, when you spend enough time there,
Yeah.
So March 1st, I left March 1st last year. I left Italy. Literally, I was supposed to come back 2 weeks later. Like I had meetings and stuff lined up that were based on me coming back. And then in between that time, we locked down completely, right?
Mhm.
Before that, I could tell you. So before that, when I got my tickets to go to Italy, I would go to Wolfram Alpha. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
No.
so when you ask Siri something,
Yeah.
it asks Wolfram Alpha.
Okay.
So when you ask it the time, like when you ask it for like to do calculations for you, like, hey, what's this minus this, whatever, right? When you use Siri as a calculator, just as an operator, it's asking Wolfram Alpha. So the secretary chick would go, hey, Chris, you need tickets? And I would go to Wolfram Alpha and I would know when I was leaving and I would ask it, how many days is 89 days from this day? To leave on that day, 90 days is your limit before they want tax money, as an American citizen. So I would just I've gone to Europe on a whim at least 3 times in 1 year. Like one time I got an email that just had an Emirates flight number. And that meant get on that.
Who's that? Your boss?
Yeah. That meant get on this plane. Like this plane leaves at 8 o'clock. I sent you this email at 4 a.m., which for them is 10 a.m. Because I wake up between 4 and 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, depending on what I have to do work-wise. Because 4 a.m. is 10 a.m. at headquarters.
God damn, you're a soldier.
I live in 1.5 time zones. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So it's weird, but it's neat. I get really tired on Friday nights.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I'd lose my mind. But I want to know more about like what it's like culturally hanging out over there, like kind of living over there sometimes as an American.
You know what's the biggest thing I will have to say, as somebody who's been in and out of corporate America and then freelance America, and then like I started working in the Latino market, and in the Latino market, I mean, talk about Me Too City. Oh my God. If I explained to you the kind of stuff that was acceptable in 2007 in an office in New York City, we would all be in fucking jail. You guys too, for me telling you. I mean, the grabassery, the stuff that we talked about, the jokes, the insensitive stuff, the racism, mwah,
Sounds
delicious.
fun.
but it's a place with nothing but Latinos, so nobody cries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started in that market, which was great because there was parties and going to clubs and hot hostesses and just drugs, so much drugs.
Mhm.
I did a whole segment of playing paintball where I shot like 1,800 paintballs at nothing. It was pretty cool. Fuck, what were we talking about?
European
Oh
culture.
yeah. So from being in all these cultures, you know what was the biggest takeaway? When you go to drink with people you work with, you don't talk about work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't. Whereas here you can, so for example, I've worked in companies where it was like me and you have your group of 10 people and then you go out to drink afterwards and then you spend 4 hours drinking and all you do is talk about work.
Yeah. I mean, I just went out to dinner with my office, and I'd say 80% of the time we weren't talking about work, but there was a little work talk.
Over there is 0% of the time.
That's
Like
nice.
so much so where somebody's like, yo, what are you doing? What are you
Yeah.
fucking stupid? What are you talking about work? We just left work. You
Yeah,
know,
I,
we're not doing
I
that.
I think Europeans in general do have a better work to life balance, right?
They do, and you know what though? I've noticed that it also works in different ways. So for example, back at where the headquarters, factories attached to the headquarters, I asked, how come everybody leaves Friday at noon? Because over there they have to work X amount of hours, right?
Mhm.
So what everybody does is they come in a little bit early every day so they can leave early on Friday.
Yeah.
So much so that and I've noticed this was crazy to me. So Monday through Thursday, you don't see the cleaning stuff until around 4 or 5 p.m. On
Mhm.
Fridays, you see them at 11:30 because everybody has agreed that Friday is the end of the week and we want to leave early and have some fucking fun,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I would say that also like I've gotten to work in the super crazy New York City post-production commercial world for this, that, and the other, and a 10-hour, 12-hour days for a month straight is not uncommon, but you're getting paid by the hours, you don't care.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas over there, I've literally been told, like, why are you still working?
Right.
Like, and I'm like, hey, I'm really trying to do this thing. And it's just like, well, can you finish it tomorrow? And it's like, well, yeah, but I was trying to get as much done as possible. And it's just like, well, get your shit and let's go eat. Like, I've literally been told by my boss, like, what are you doing? Like, let's go. We're
Yeah.
gonna go eat and drink right now. Come on. This is not that important.
That's how it should be. I mean, that's the
It should be.
priorities. We
Yeah.
gotta live our fucking lives and not try to make profit the be all end all of life.
And they found a pretty cool balance. And I I get treated like I'm super spoiled at work, dude. Like almost illegally so.
Mm.
And the only person that's more spoiled than me is my boss. And the only person that fucks with my boss is me and his boss together rolling him. You know, like just going, like just picking on him. We have so let's say his name is Andrew.
Hmm.
Okay, to imagine. We have a WhatsApp group,
Mhm.
me, the CEO of the company, and him, and it's called Two Guys and Andrew, where we just post like funny shit. You know what I mean? Like and I don't know. How long is this thing? I don't
Oh,
want to.
we're
We're gonna
probably gonna
wrap.
end in a couple minutes. Wrap
Yeah,
it up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes.
But yeah, no,
Uh,
okay, so real quick, so give me 2
yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
Austria, okay? They completely destroyed my whole way of being there. One fucking night last year, I had to spend the night in Innsbruck because they got a fucking warning from Italy, and then it's like, no, we can't have the trains going anymore, and I had to stay in this fucking hotel, and they completely fucked up a bunch of meetings for me. And then the next day, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to read the news, and they're like, yeah, the trains are running at 5 a.m. again, and I'm like, what do you think the virus checks its watch? You think the virus goes, all right, guys, it's 5 a.m. Let's get it moving. Let's get these guys to take the train again. And then on the way back recently in March, no, the end of February, you could travel through anywhere in Europe if you had a negative corona test
Mhm.
and if you had a letter of invitation, meaning you had business to do there. And, you know, I had letters for business in a lot of places. And I was able to get through back and forth fine. And then all of a sudden, Austria lost their shit in a way that it took a 3-hour train ride from Munich to Brixen and turned it into a 10-hour train ride, which culminated in me crossing the Australian-Italian border on foot after I took a car from a train station while a taxi waited for me on the other end. Also, they played the biggest trick ever on everybody around and made everybody believe that Hitler was German. Because he's not. He's Austrian and he's from Linz and he's a piece of shit. And those people are racist as fuck because I drink with them a lot and I'm also pretty racist and we jam. So I'm just saying, I have my stuff with Austria. I wanted to make sure that this made it to the show.
Okay, that
Okay.
might
Okay. Well, that's a good note to end on,
that,
man.
that might be the clip. But Danny, yo, it was fun having you on, man. Let's grab some drinks sometime.
Yeah, stuff is open again. I'm pumped.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
All right,
see you
man.
guys around. All right.
dude. Where can people not buy queso gear?
You can't. I don't exist. If you want to see old work I've done, just go to chrisfox.com with a K. It should be
How do you spell that?
KRISFUCKS. I realized that a bunch of porn stars had the domain like Diamond Fox, My Name Fox, this Fox. And then I thought I fuck. And then I went to GoDaddy and chrisfox.com was available. So that forwards to my real now.
All right.
chrisfox.com.
FUCKS.
Yeah. Like the porn.
Oh, I see it. Chriswork.de.
Well, yeah, that's my reel from back home, but Chris Fox just points there. But yeah, it's a thing.
That's cool, man.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you so much for doing the podcast, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Ciao, ciao.
All right. Ciao,
Bye.
buddy. All right.